So after you finished today's day one yesterday, your piece will look like this. So it is effectively a ball with a short 2 rounds of neck, which is those 9 stitches. So just to recap a few things before we carry on with day 2, because there isn't really anything to learn extra today. You learned everything yesterday. So if you've been using your tracking stitch marker, just to show you that what we'll be doing at the end is we'll just be removing that by pulling that free. But leave that in for now because it's a really helpful way of reminding you where those round starts are. So should you at any point have to go backwards quite a few rounds, it means you can really accurately do so if you leave that in as a tracking stitch marker like that. Now in your pattern after day 1, it said to stuff and continue, but this is entirely optional. Now I am not going to, and that's just my personal preference, that I don't particularly enjoy crocheting something while I've got a heavy weight hanging off the bottom of it as I continue onto my body. I find that it can affect my tension, but it really is personal preference. I know a lot of you actually would prefer to stuff at this stage before we carry on. Now I'll be talking all about stuffing a lot more once we get to the end of day 6 for me. So once we've made all of your limbs and your body and head, I will actually be sewing on then before we move on to the extra part. So that's the day that I'll really cover stuffing. But until then, it's your choice. You can leave it and just carry on without stuffing, or if you want to, you can pop some stuffing into that end bit of the head. It might just mean you've got a little bit less fiddling with the end of the hook later on if you need to get that stuffing through. But we'll be discussing all of that further down the line. So all you're going to do today then is carry straight on to your body. So you won't have broken your yarn yesterday. You've got 9 stitches at the moment, so we're going on for some really rapid increasing as we go up to 18. So I've just fast forwarded to get myself to round 36 of the body. And that's because this is the round that I just want to go through with you and also give you the tip of how you can add a centralising marker so you know where the centre of the tummy is. So when we're making the gargoyle, we've made a ball shape for the head and everything else so far has been regular in terms of increasing and decreasing. So we were going up by 6 every round here as we increased. We came down by 6 every round here. But what we're going to be doing to create this classic TOFT-shaped tummy and body, we're going to need to do irregular increasing here. And it will be increasing just on one side of the tummy in order to create that ridge before we carry on. So what you'll need to do is get yourself to this round 36. And what we're going to do is we're going to DC 12 first before we then do this increasing. So do yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So it says DC 12 at the start of this round. And then what we're going to do is we're going to DC 1, DC 2 into the next stitch 6 times. So we're going to do 6 increases across here, which is what's going to create that tummy on one side of the body. But what I'm going to do is in the 3rd increase, I'm actually going to add a little marker into that stitch. And that will then line up perfectly to be the centre of my tummy, which will just help me later on. It's almost like a belly button piercing that will go in, obviously apt for Halloween with the spider. But it means that then it'll just make it a little bit easier to get that tummy in the right place when we sew it later on. So I'll go in and do a DC 1 and then a DC 1 and 2. So that's my first increase, then 1, and that's my second increase, then 1, and then 1 and 2. So that's my 3rd increase. So all I'm going to do is take my marker, and you could use a scrap of yarn if you wanted to. I'm just going to clip that in around that stitch like that so I know where that is, and then just carry on. So that would be 4, 5, and then 6. So what I've done is I've done 6 little increases, but they're close together like that, and that will then create the front of the tummy. So carry on doing this piece until you get to the end. So by the end of today, day 2, you will have your head and body piece done, which actually, by and large, has got the most stitches in. So although it's been nice, simple shaping, it has had a high stitch count. So don't worry. Anyone that's already feeling, oh, goodness me, how am I going to keep up with this cowl? These cowls, they're not all about making sure that you keep up. It's not a race at all. So just go at your own pace, but know that it was quite a high stitch count to get us going. All the other bits that we're going to be doing are going to be much smaller. So carry on until you finish this piece. Just to emphasize once again, I'm not going to be stuffing mine until we've actually got all our limbs made, and I'll stuff and sew up in one go. But if you want to, you could have stuffed before you carried on. At the end of today, you will need to break your yarn and then pull it through. Now, this isn't where you do this. You will be increasing out and then decreasing again, but I'm just going to show you that for anyone that's not done that before. When it comes to actually finishing this piece off, for the first time today, you'll be breaking your yarn. Now, I would say, don't be tempted to break it too close to your last stitch. Give yourself a nice long end like that. That'll make it easier for gathering our stitches later on. And all you do is you pull that through like that, and that means that that's really nice and secure, and so your first piece will be complete. So I'm now going to go ahead and rejoin some yarn back in here, which I'm just going to show you again, because if you are somebody who's using yarn or scraps of yarn that you've got from another project, you might need to join your yarn in later on. So if you ever need to join a ball of yarn in, all you would do is I'm just going to finish off like that. Then as part of your normal double crochet stitch, what you do, you go in, yarn over to the point where you've got your 2 loops on like that, and you just finish off that stitch with your new ball of yarn that's coming in. That's also how you'll colour change. Now, we haven't got colour changing in this project unless you're deciding to go super fancy in advance and put in your own colour changing. So we won't be doing colour changing as one of the techniques, but how I've just joined in that new ball of yarn is exactly the same way that you would colour change if you wanted to. Now, there's no need to knot them or tie them or sew them in. If you've added in a new ball of yarn like that or done a colour change, you can just cut them short. You'll be leaving them inside the piece and you can just carry on.